All right, welcome back to the Dorm Room to Boardroom podcast. We have a lot of momentum lately. We're getting on big guests, another big time guest. Charlie, I'll let you introduce him.
Yeah, so our guest today, he came into Babson. He started his own chicken company at first, and now he has turned that into a matcha selling business that is absolutely crazy on Instagram. It's over 70K on the gram. Absolutely crushing. Without further ado, David Chae, how are we doing today?
Nice to meet you guys. I'm doing great.
Hell yeah. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We briefly talked a little bit before we pressed record, but I'd love to know where you grew up, where you're from, how you ended up at Babson. I know you said you're taking a gap year, so tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I'm originally from Virginia. I was born in Virginia, and then I moved to Arlington, Mass when I was like, wow.
Okay.
So I grew up like,
I'm from Medfield, if you know that.
okay, yeah, the pre-post. And then I moved to South Korea when I was around 5 or 6 at a pretty young age. And then I grew up most of my early educational life in Korea, just taking public education. And then when I was in like 8th grade, my parents decided that they wanted to send me and my sisters to this island called Guam, which is a U.S. territory island. And I started my U.S. education there in 8th grade, and then did 9, 10, 11 there. And since I was like, I think in 9th grade, maybe 13, 14-ish, I just knew I wanted to do food and beverage. Like I was absolutely obsessed with food just as a kid, and always knew like I wanted to, run my own thing and wanted to do food. And so kind of just grew my dream from there. And then in Guam, I found out about Babson. My mom found out about it just because she knew I wanted to pursue entrepreneurship. And then junior year, after I finished it, my whole family moved to Newton, Mass, which is where we're now for my dad's company. And then I was a new senior in Newton North.
Okay.
And then while I was a new senior, because I moved around so much, like places to places, I felt like my college application wasn't strong enough. So I wanted something a little more. And that's when I was like, why don't I just start selling Korean fried chicken to my neighbors, which was my favorite food. And yeah, so I made a video about that, turned it into the Babson supplemental essay option. And then that video did pretty well on YouTube. It was like a short video, but I guess you can start that, call it the start of marketing. And then at the time, it was just like a one-time project and it didn't even have a name. But then freshman year, honestly, now that I look back, I think I just really got lucky. Like this one guy named Cam Dean, he was a grade above me, and he was a Newton South graduate. So I had to connect him during it. Yeah. And he's like this crazy like entrepreneur guy, and he was like, dude, you have to take action like, as a freshman. And I was like, wow, like I don't know what to do. And he was like, just do something. And I was like, all right, so maybe I can start selling the chicken at my dorm kitchen. I lived in West, so
Is that what you did?
that is what I did. So
So you were making the chicken in the kitchen of West,
yes,
and then you sold it to kids living in West.
exactly. No, it was to people all over Babson.
Well, that's insane. So I don't even know that.
And then I first, started making videos about it. I named the brand Chae's Chicken, and then I started putting a little bit of flyers out there, and then quickly Reslife got to know. And one day I saw my email, and I got an email from, the area coordinator Dario, and he was like, "All right, you'd have a talk," and then they showing us all this and that, and then the whole thing got shut down.
I was gonna say,
That's kind of BS.
I mean, I figured they probably would have shut down. Wait, before we keep going, so you moved around a lot in your early life. You speak perfect English. So was that Guam? You were speaking English, I guess.
So Guam speaks English. It's part of the U.S. But I think the reason why I don't have an accent is because I was born here, and then I grew up till I was like 6. So
Got it.
my first like language was kind of English.
Yeah.
But then when I started, living in Korea, I actually forgot a lot of English, and I didn't really get to read and write that well. So when I first moved to Guam, it was like a weird dynamic between the teachers where this guy speaks perfect English, but then when I'm giving him assignments, he's telling me I can't do it. So a lot of teachers actually thought I was like BIA.
Yeah.
So and then I grew up, and and I say now it's like pretty much not too hard. My Korean and English is pretty much similar levels now. But yeah, that's how cool it is.
Yeah, that's sick.
So back to the chicken thing. That honestly kind of pissed me off because Babson preaches ETNA,
Yep.
like entrepreneurial thought in action.
Yeah.
And you're doing that right out of the dorm,
Right.
like as authentic, organic as it gets.
Yep.
And they shut it down.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you say? Were you like, all right, shit.
At the time, I was honestly really pissed just because I would always, also talking about like it's Babson, they're teaching me to take action in
Yeah.
my class and what's the freshman class? FME, yeah, FME. And one of the things I'm thankful for is my FME professor at the time. I was like asking in Professor Brian, and he was telling me like, yes, there's like a risk of taking it or doing the business at your dorm, but he was telling me to just go do it. So I give him credit for that. And I think on the school side, yeah, it's food and regularly and stuff. Exactly. It's illegal technically. And I do think at the time, one of the reasonings was like, there is a rule in Babson where you're technically not supposed to start a profit or a non-profit business in your door. I'm pretty sure everyone signs that when you come into Babson and
Of course, honestly, tiny ass. They got it.
So I was and I was
Here we are.
always going in our doctors. So.
No, we're negative. A lot of negative money. We're the red big tax fund. Okay, passion project.
Yes, yeah. So tell us how you transitioned from the chicken business to then starting your own thing and going into natural.
Yeah, absolutely. So while I was selling chicken, there was another girl who was selling desserts, and my whole plan was I did an internship that summer at a chicken franchise called Y'all's Chicken, and they have around 5 locations. He's a pretty young guy, UMass graduate, and he runs a lot of restaurants. And through a school connection, I was able to live with his partner and him, and basically shadow them the whole summer. And I learned a lot. They're paying me pretty well, so got some money there. And my original plan was to get a food truck during my sophomore year and kind of have everything set up during the year. So right when summer hits in May, I was able to execute it. But then during the year this girl who was selling different desserts started a food truck while I was doing the internship, selling acai bowls and ice cream sundaes. And I was like, wow, this seems like a great business model. And she seems like the action they've given more than me. And I think there's the part that she's missing that I could add on, which was like the branding and marketing side. So we ended up becoming partners, and I bought in equity. We did the whole vesting, and yeah, so we started running the business called the Cravery together, and we were business partners selling honestly it wasn't ice cream Sundays. And then after around 3 months we realized that partnerships are pretty tough. I think we just didn't really see the value in each other as much as we did in the beginning, and there's a little bit of struggle. So we ended up buying another trailer together, which we wanted to launch a bagel concept because we have a sweet treat, why don't we a savory truck. And what happened was after ending the partnership, I bought off that trailer from her, and then we separated. And so that trailer I bought it off around May of last year, and basically for the first time I took a financial risk, and now I'm just left with the trailer. Didn't really get to run the food truck that much and no experience. So that was a lot of stress. And then while I was stressed, I basically just called every single contact we had that knew about food trucks or food and beverage. And this guy named Avi, also through a Babson connection, basically told me like, yeah, call up to this cafe in the morning and let's talk. And that's when I got to tell me about the bagel concept I had in mind. Are you guys familiar with Apollo Bagel in New York? It's like the open face bagels, yeah, like the aesthetic bagels.
I'm
So
from New York, but I'm free. I'm surprised you do. I feel like I have heard. I'm not sure.
they're super popular, yeah. Like
Okay.
called one of the best bagels in New York, and it's basically just like this aesthetic open face bagels with like cream cheese and tomato on.
Okay.
And I felt like Boston just didn't have them. Like we have a lot of old school type
Yeah.
of bagel shops, and not that type. So I wanted to do that, coffee and matcha. But then this guy Avi told me, if you do bagels, you're just gonna fail. He straight up told me like you're gonna fail. And
Why? A lot of capital.
not necessarily capital, but I mean, first of all, I wasn't planning on baking my own bagels or boiling my own bagels. So, and bagels just like there's a lot of cracks in the bagel space and stuff like that. So
I'm one of them. I'm from.
exactly. And another reason was when it comes to inspections, it becomes a lot more just harsh when there's food involved versus just drinks. So he told me to just pursue drinks, and I think at the time what he meant was like a lemonade basically truck, like selling, the blue raspberry, all the
Super
red 40,
easy.
exactly.
Recommend
And
40.
I just couldn't do that because
Yeah.
that just wasn't me. And
You had a bigger vision.
exactly. So that's when I was like, okay, maybe I should pursue matcha and coffee. And then at the time, my younger sister had like the matcha whisk thing, and I started really digging deep in like what all the matcha hype was about, and that was like the peak of it growing.
Yeah. Wait, so what time was this? Like,
This was June of last year.
okay, so
Well,
it's just like
May.
right
It's
as it's about to take off.
Exactly.
Okay.
I just bought the trailer, and I need to launch this because the summer's ending,
Yeah.
and I was like, I need to do something. Like,
Yeah.
so I made the matcha trends like honestly very, very fast. And for me, because I'm obsessed with food and beverage, like most of the reels or YouTube shorts or my free time I spend is just like watching food reviews, people going to high-end restaurants, where I literally sometimes open Google Maps and just like start looking into restaurants that I use. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And because of that reason, like digging deeper into the matcha scene wasn't like work for me. It was just like natural.
It was fun.
Exactly. And then I started understanding like, what these niche community wanted. Like, is it, you know, like a darker green color? Is it how much matcha do they want? Like, what type of milk do they want?
Yeah. Would you go in and like read the comments and stuff?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like what makes a good matcha versus bad matcha. So I found out that LA basically had like the best matcha. So California was top. New York was coming up. And then basically I picked like 4 or 5 concepts that I really like in LA, and I try to imitate them and add a little bit of my own color. And I launched by Chae. Reason from by Chae was at the time I was also just like, I don't know what to name it on. And I felt like what represented me the most was just my name. So Matcha Train by Chae.
Yeah. Yeah, and the logo's sick, like the green with all that.
Thank you, yeah.
So what made you choose matcha over just kind of going coffee? Because I said coffee, like everyone was coffee.
Right.
I know matcha was trending, but it was also kind of a risk at the time.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't as big as it is now. Maybe
Right.
everybody drinking matcha. So how'd you kind of come to that decision?
I think one of the main things was at the time, actually, when we first started. So we launched around June, and I didn't know anywhere to sell, right? So I basically just opened maps again and called any single property that I felt like I could sell, and kind of just able to go and, to some farmers markets in Framingham and some churches in Ashland and some like apartment properties in Cambridge. And we were selling coffee. So that's one thing. We had a coffee menu, we had a matcha menu, and we had some refreshers.
Okay.
But I think I just realized what the market wanted was matcha. Because
Yeah.
it's
then
growing.
you just continue to double down on that.
Also, matcha is just so aesthetic. It's like green, and like everyone has coffee versus matcha is like a little more niche down. And another thing is coffee requires a lot of like equipment. You need at least an espresso machine that could easily cost up 4 or 5 figures. Versus matcha is like the easiest product ever. All you have to do is just like blend water and powder. And
Yeah. How does that process work? Because I honestly, I don't know what
so traditionally there's a thing called a chasen, which is like a bamboo whisk that people use.
Okay.
You don't have to use it. That's like the traditional way to do it. But essentially all you have to do is just mix water in the powder really stirrily. And then it becomes like the matcha shot, essentially, like the espresso shot. And then you mix that with milk and syrup, and that becomes matcha latte.
Nice. So okay, so take it back a little bit. So you're like, all right, I'm going all on matcha. I have this trailer. What's the first step? Like, you're building the brand, and then are you going to storefronts? Like, where do you bring the trailer? Do you have to get permits? And then how do you get customers to even show up to your trailer?
So the permits are a nightmare, first of all. Every single city you go to in Massachusetts requires another permit. It's not like there's a Massachusetts permit, which sucks.
So is it by town?
It's by town, literally. So Wells has another Prairie, and New York another one. So it's a pain in the ass, and every single city's going to charge you with that again. And I honestly just had no idea. So it was a lot of just calling people, like, I don't know what to do, and just kind of just, trying it, I guess. And very thankfully, like, a couple of people said yes in the beginning, and it wasn't like a crazy business at the time. Like, I would sell maybe like 50, 60 cups after like 5, 6 hours, and that requires me doing preparation, actually towing the trailer to park in, etc. And I was so happy with the first beginning. I think my very first event was in Wellesley, actually, in front of like a small like a hospital, and yeah, like the employees came up and during their lunchtime, and I think it was just a good start. And then what really started blowing my business up was the marketing aspect. So I got some really, really good connects online who basically just knew like how to go viral. Now we were using shortcuts. I mean short form, and I tried it out, and I think my first video I started with around maybe like 20K, 40K views, and it kind of stopped there, which is so great for a first video. But then this one girl who's like a foodie reviewer came up and reviewed my matcha, and I think somehow those viewers started engaging with my first video, and then like the next day it grew to like 400,000 views, and
Yeah.
and then at the same time that 400,000 views converted to like 20,000 followers.
Wow.
It was like a tremendous
Wow.
conversions.
Just yeah, go. I was gonna say, just out of curiosity, that first video, because my whole thing, I do short form. I manage like a bunch of short form content creator brands. The first video was it kind of like a founder story type video.
It was 1,000%.
So, but why it converted really well? Because people were more bought into the journey rather than the journey.
Yeah. Just and then there was a couple of cues that I learned from these people that were teaching me on that I think really also helped, which was like call to action at the end. And essentially what I did was like I told people that if I can't become the next big food guy, but quicker than you think, you guys can always unfollow me. But just I saw it for you now.
No, it's just like
easy. I like.
I peeped that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so you go super viral. You're launching this new business. Do you then start like you're realizing, oh shit, like I actually have a lot of viewers now, a lot of people behind this brand. I got to get more eyes on this. I got to do more pop-up shops. Like, talk to me about that. How did you start going to more locations? Are you showing people I got this many followers on Instagram? If I come here, you're gonna get a lot of foot traffic, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that was probably like month 1.5 or month 2 of the business, and I still probably wasn't smart enough to like reaching out to brands and like that. But essentially, I would go to this rock climbing gym in Alwa, Cambridge, and what I would do is I would just post that I'll be here on my story, like I was just in a simple story. And the next day when I show up, I would literally have 10 people waiting, and then just constant long ass lines on the whole process. So I would just sell out every day, and I was so happy about that. Yeah,
It's a problem to have.
exactly. And oh yeah, it was even during those times. So like, we would run out of one fitting, so I have someone like wait and then drive to like the closest CVS and try to get more ice. And like I would ask my mom if she could like resupply some matcha, and there's like a bunch of people waiting the longest line. So I try to just like engage them and do some bullshit games in the line, and yeah, it was like this crazy,
That didn't stay.
crazy time. But at the time, I really don't think there's any matcha that was even close to what I was doing, and people were so obsessed with good matcha, especially during the hot summer. And yeah, I was just able to continue that, really build a community around it. And I think after around doing that for a little more, that's when I first started getting some like bigger catering events. Like for example, Google, there were like 2 regulars who were Googlers, and they like pitched my business to their food section, and then I got invited by the guys who were doing it, working with their private chefs. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and I really wish I was able to make a video, especially during that like peak time, but they just didn't want me to make a video about it. That was like the only thing, but it was one of the coolest experiences ever. Just yeah.
So where are you now? You're taking gap year, right?
Yeah.
And so what are you doing in that gap year? Are you going crazy, like expanding? What's the method now?
Yeah. So after I'm doing that and going viral on, one problem was that school had to start back, and I had to come back to school. So I was a junior last semester, and it did slow down the business a bunch, especially with the winter getting, the weather getting colder too. And my whole goal is like, okay, I see the limit in the trailer because however much I'm able to supply, I'm selling out. Like, I want a brick and mortar. I want to build a system with this. So I did a lot of, finding investors, trying to find the right location, building real estate relationships, and all these other things. And at the same time, I was able to find my own manufacturer through a Babson friend. He's a Babson senior, and his parents own like the second biggest chili powder manufacturing facility in Japan. And now they just started adding the matcha aspect, and I was wow, that's a great partnership. So I was able to find my own matcha manufacturer, which was a huge W during the school year. And then right when school ended, I was still, working on the raise. So we were trying to launch the raise really, really soon for the brick and mortar. And then I also had a guy I was working with. So he was almost like a partner slash CMO, and he grew like 200K in 20 days. And I literally ended that partnership like 4 days ago with him just because we realized we had different visions.
Yeah.
So now I'm like kind of in a space where like, okay, I don't know if I still want to raise myself or open the brick and mortar this year. Like, is it a rush or is it the right decision? Or start focusing on the CPG aspect, do these matcha tins. So people sell matcha in these like little cans, and people like literally pay anything for it right now just because there's a whole shortage of matcha globally because of such high demand. And I think at this time, especially knowing the resources I have, it just might be the smarter move to start doing the DUC first, and then potentially, wait till next year and like bootstrap all that brick and mortar. But I'm still actively talking to some real estate developers looking for some fun opportunities. Like next week, I have a really fun meeting with this guy who has a T, like a train, like the Boston T, that's like stationed in the middle of Boston.
No way.
And they have no idea what to do with it.
Wait. Is it going to rain?
It's
abandoned tree.
It's abandoned T, yeah.
And you just like how
And they like got it into the middle of Boston, and they had no idea what to do with it.
So you think you could run like
So they're thinking maybe I can transition that into a cafe and run it.
that would be insane.
I think it would be iconic, yeah.
That would be like probably one of like the cornerstone place.
Exactly. Of Boston. Yeah.
So you'd be like, oh, we go to Boston, go to the matcha train.
I'm just thinking about all the content you can make out of
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. It's like a content engine.
I'm excited, yeah. So yeah, I mean, if the right opportunity comes, I think the brick and mortar is definitely not off the pick, but I think there's just a lot of opportunity in CPG. There's another guy I recently got to connect with. He runs a pretzel business, and he's been running a food truck for like the last 3-4 years.
Is he viral on Instagram?
He's pretty viral, yeah. And
Yeah, I've seen him.
he's telling me like he started launching these pretzel bites, and the sales are just like insane everywhere, especially with paid ads. So I think there's that. Yeah.
And the thing is, too, you already have the organic audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, and that's only going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So like being able to monetize that audience, like not limited by physical location,
Right.
is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So, and then you can also down the line, like then do Ricky.
Exactly. Yeah.
And by that time, your brand will already be big enough because he's scaled on social and so much. So that's a really good picture. I think that's super cool.
And during the meantime, like I'm still able to do these really cool pop-ups. So like now we definitely transition from just like going somewhere and opening and telling Instagram. Rather, we do a lot of school caterings, which are guaranteed money, which is good. And then a lot of more branded pop-ups. So like the recent ones were Free People Movement. They were doing like a Valentine's thing with a yoga studio, and you're able to supply their matcha. We have a fun one next Saturday with the Remedy place. Are you guys familiar? They're like the super high-end like wellness center from New York, and I was able to visit them, and it was just like the most high-end facility that I've ever went to. Like it's their membership's like 2-3 times of like Equinox almost, and
Really?
they have like a bar area. So
Is that in New York?
exactly, yeah, and they have one in Boston now.
Okay, so it's the pop is on Saturday. Is it gonna be in
Boston, yeah,
It's in Boston.
exactly. Yeah.
And they will come, baby.
Yeah, it's all up.
So that goes into my next topic. Because if we're there, I need you to give me a 30-second pitch on why I should drink matcha, and especially your matcha, because Charlie and I've never had matcha in my life.
Strictly black coffee drinkers.
We only drink black coffee, but matcha is a new space, and we're willing to try it. But I need to hear your pitch, and I'm only trying your matcha. I'm not trying your. So I want your.
Oh yeah. On First of all, I think what people really buy is my story. Like all this just guy who's passionate about the food and beverage scene and trying to grow something. So I did find that that's one of the primary reasons why people come to us. And second of all, like Boston's everybody kind of knows like our food scene is so mid, and I'm like one of the guys who want to change that.
I agree.
Especially the cap day scene. Like if you grew up in New York or LA, and especially like in Manhattan, like like Boston just doesn't even have like a single store that's like that. So I want to be the first guy who can really bring it up to that level. Like if you see the new matcha shops that are opening in Boston, you literally just know it's like these guys who had some money and they just know matcha's gonna sell, and they make this mid matcha, do all the AI marketing and make these coasters, and it's just like not something I want to, go for. And I think the reason why these higher end brands are trying to work with us is because we positioned ourselves differently from what they're doing. And I think it's like a longer game, especially if you really focus on the brandings and etc. So that's one thing. And matchas, first of all, there's this thing called L-theanine or something. It's one of the L-theanine, exactly. It's something people put in like sleeping pills and stuff like that because it calms people down. And even though
Outside of coffee.
exactly, even though matcha has basically almost the same amount of caffeine as coffee, because it has that, it doesn't spike your caffeine up and just die, but it has like this smooth energy all throughout the day. So it's much healthier in that way. And I think our matcha is like the matcha that matcha haters like. It's like if you try it, it's almost like hard to hate. I think that's one thing that people think like it's a really easy product to like. It's just like how no one really hates chocolate milk or hot cocoa because it's like milk, sugar, and chocolate. Same thing for matcha. It's just like milk, sugar, and matcha. Which, especially if you get like the higher quality ones, it's not bitter. It's like this really clean taste. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I think if you guys are like black coffee drinkers, definitely treat them well at the dessert, especially if you get like the strawberry cream ones, which are our best sellers.
That sounds good. I
What?
know there's flavor.
It's really
I only think of the green.
exactly. So that's like the classic line we have.
What
But
if strawberry matcha was that?
we have
the same
strawberry.
one?
So strawberry, we put the red puree in the bottom, and then it's the red in the bottom, matcha green in the body, and in the top it's like this white cream. So it's this very dynamic drink.
All right, that took longer than 30 seconds, but I'm in.
I'll try some matcha.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what's your long-term vision?
Yeah.
Are you gonna brick and mortar? Like, if you do go the brick and mortar route, do you want to have like hundreds of stores across the country? What's your long-term vision?
Yeah. So I'll start with the buy Chae's bowl. I had never thought I wanted to grow it super big, like the next Starbucks or next Dunkin'. That was never the vision, and partial reason was because I thought it was really hard to be like big and cool at the same time. It seems like even a playing street, once it becomes corporatized, it just loses that coolness, and all they focus on is like faster operation and efficiency, and it just loses that funness. But then this Chinese company called Haiti, which now opened a bunch of stores in the U.S., I think are like the first big franchise that kind of proved that you can be really cool, but also be a huge corporate at the same time. And I think they invest a lot of time in just like branding a community, and they have I think like 4,000 stores all across China, and they're worth at 6 billion, and now they're finally like starting to be US. And that's partially why all these American boba shops are closing now, because like the big dog in China who beat every single shop there is because I'm going to US, and it's really good too. So it's hard to beat. So I think after seeing them, I kind of saw like, okay, they're really good, but I think their downside is the normal American doesn't really know that. It's all like the Asian Americans or the Asians who know them. And I think there's a gap between a super corporatized blank sheet versus something that actually still cares about the roots of the culture. That's cool. So I think we want to position ourselves somewhere in the middle where it's cool, but also I think because we're genuinely providing value, we want to grow it bigger. And the vision for the brand is essentially, I think, what people really care about is like their life, daily routines, right? So I think a reason why people go to a Equinox or Lifetime versus a Planet Fitness and pay a lot more is because it's something we go every day, and it improves their like quality because of that. For the same reason, I think coffee shops or cafes are something people go every day, and if we could really provide them with the elevated style and drink taste, but also at the same time convince them with the better price, I think it just becomes a no-brainer, and there's just so much value in that.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And so one of our like 5 questions that we usually ask is, where do you see yourself as an entrepreneur in the next 5, 10 years? Like down the line, like do you want to continue doing matcha, or is that just kind of like what you're in now, or kind of what do you see down the line?
Yeah. I think Bai Chen doesn't want to stay as a matcha brand. I don't necessarily call it a matcha brand now. I think matcha is definitely our hero product, but you definitely want to transition more into a cafe, especially as we get the brick and mortars open. That we're gonna have like some cool foods, some coffee, and everything basically up to our standards of our current matcha. In 5 years, I think I'll probably be working in Bai Chae for sure, and maybe potentially open like a couple other concepts of restaurants. In 10 years, I want to be the biggest food and beverage guy in the world. I mean, it's a big goal, especially knowing that there's these corporate.
I don't know if it's
so big, but I don't think there's anyone. Maybe there's a couple, but there's really not many guys who've done more than what I'm doing in the food and beverage scene in my age. And I think for that reason, like I'm in the trajectory to become the best and fastest. If I can do that in my 20s, I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That aim, bro. Like you got me like fired up. I feel like we could keep talking about yourself and what you're doing, but we like to keep these episodes somewhat relatively quick. So, and the last question we'll leave off with you is just shout yourself out, shout your brand out. You could look into that camera right, or I could the other camera. Reach the limit. So we got that go. So just shout out your company and a couple, maybe shout out a couple more pop-up shops. Where can people come and try your matcha?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're Bai Chae. Our Instagram handle's Bai Chae Official. We really try to bring in some cool stories into the drinks, and I think we genuinely have the best matcha in the city. So check our Instagram out. Come support, follow us, and I'll see you at the next pop-up.
There we go. Yeah. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, guys.